welcome back guys into another SCPH replay. This time it's gonna be Civil Warfare, and it is gonna be a PBC. Introducing our players here on the bottom right, it is gonna be the purple Protoss that is eXoSpecs, and his opponent on the top left, it is gonna be the golden boy himself, GeoHenPH on the Zerg yet again. So we are gonna be playing on Ephemeron, and what's something you can tell me about this map, Mr. Panda?
It's a bit unique for my taste.
Yeah, what do you say about it? What do you think? Why do you think it's unique?
Because of this. If you look at the middle,
Yeah.
like it splits units.
That's true.
And-
Like playing on the low ground does have the split action to begin with. It just gets in the way sometimes, allows you to find the funnel. So most people actually try to go around, but there are still rocks in the way for a few of these openings in the first place. So basically come through the middle, transition over to that mid ground, and look the fights on even. So this does allow players to find chokeholds, but it really has to depend on how much they've expanded.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on how much they've expanded this fence,
Because
until where they can defend. And because what?
if you don't expand properly at this map, it could mess you up like really bad.
Yeah, I feel like that's really true, especially the fact that you're not covering your bases, you're not covering your sight lines to begin with, and you might actually just get surprised of what's coming your way. So anyway, we are gonna see our Zerg player, of course, go for the hatchery first, playing that macro focus. We also are gonna have the pool there and den. In the meantime, eXoSpecs has decided to go for the natural, set up that wall. And it seems like we're finally gonna be stabilizing on a proper, normal game, Mr. Panda.
Yay! Well, it is 20 minutes, so...
Hey, don't spoil the duration.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, YouTube already spoils it, but you don't
Oh,
want
yeah,
we don't
YouTube
want to
spoils
we don't want to expect, man. We don't want to expect that the game's gonna be over by this point. We just want to enjoy what's gonna be going on. And speaking of going on, here we go with the first set of Zerglings. In the meantime, eXoSpecs from the boosting out the Adept, and both sides playing its cookie cutter, following the build so far. Build orders completely on point. And things are looking pretty even for our two SCPH members. Now GeoHen trying to figure out if he's gonna go for that third or not. Looking to make sure that he does have enough scatter information before he gets into that scenario. In the meantime, eXoSpecs really practicing this one out. Chrono boosting the Adept, Stargate in behind. This has to be the Oracle opening, looking to just hamper those mineral lines.
Yep.
And
Like,
it's-
Zerglings are there to scout if there are any proxies, which is fine. Tumors for the Zerg. And that denies the scout, but unfortunately it's seen. So at least Geo has information.
Yeah, GeoHen sees the Stargate. He should be expecting it though. If this is really gonna be a standard game like that, it's either the Rogue Facility or the Stargate to come his way. So by this point in time, GeoHen actually reacting very quickly. He already set up a Spore Crawler to begin it on that natural. Can do so on the main as well, but right now he's focusing to connect these bases with creep tumors, allow these queens to run along as quick as possible. But in the meantime, where is going to be the Oracle? But it's actually not going to be the Oracle. It's Phoenix first in this scenario.
Phoenix.
Yeah, a little different in this regard. So eXoSpecs, first things first, going to be hunting these Overlords. And second, as soon as Oracles are pumped on out, going to be a supporting role, Graviton Beam to lift up that Queen and allow the Oracles to go ham in the first place.
Sees one of the Overlords. Unfortunate for GeoHen.
Yeah, this will force GeoHen, of course, to invest some minerals to get more and more balloons floating on up. And the thing about that is it does slow down the production of the Zerg. Doesn't mean that there is gonna be any real significant army to begin with here from GeoHen. And in the meantime, eXoSpecs, yes, playing it by the book, will be going for that Oracle as well. Even going for that Twine Council and the Robo Facility. So a quick transition out of air. Sometimes you see some players decide to stay on with the air if he gets any success, but eXoSpecs is not expecting much out of this. Looking to just harass, looking to just poke, but honestly allow it to just die in the wind. In the meantime, here go with GeoHen, setting things up already, going for a natural wall on in Roach Warren and Evo Chamber. Gonna be making sure that the Death Ball doesn't get in a prime spot onto that second. In the meantime, the Roach Warren coming online means that the Roaches are gonna be in the cards. Very interesting to note though, GeoHen has went into a +1 melee into this one. Early Roach Warren still though doesn't mean as much as it should. GeoHen weighing his options, can be onto that 3-base Muta, can still go for the Roach Ravager.
Zerglings are here to harass, but unfortunately, you can't really go in because of the Stalker. Caught off guard a bit.
Yeah, it was just finding a potential pick, and the eXoSpecs is just fully walled out on that natural and fully defending this 3rd base. What is this skins though? This is looking pretty snazzy here from
Or
eXoSpecs.
eXoSpecs, yeah. I think this is the Tal'Darim skins.
Is this Aldarim? That'd be pretty
No,
cool.
no. Oh no, it's the Mecha. It's the Mecha.
That's actually Purifier ones.
Yeah, the Purifier skins.
You know, StarCraft having skins is, you know, I like it. It's fun.
Best cosmetics to happen.
You know, it's a good way to just support the game just a little more if you're in that kind of thing. And it
Oh, if
allows,
you really
you know,
want to support the game, buy the Total Biscuit one.
and TB, dude, buy
Yeah.
buy everything, buy all the campaigns, all that
Buy
jazz.
everything.
Buy everything.
Yeah.
But you know, at least StarCraft 2 free to play allows so many different players to actually try and join on. And anyway, though, eXoSpecs trying to set up the defense does see that GeoHen finds the opening. Oracle forced to go for the Pulsar Beam. Adepts giving chase as well. Beyond that, not to be speedy enough, Zergan is able to run on out. But basically, eXoSpecs is forced to slow down his expansion protocol. He is defending this 3rd with a good number of units, but he can't go for a risky 4th by this point in time. In the meantime, GeoHen knows he has the advantage with those speedy creatures running along. eXoSpecs still focusing on the economy in this instance. And GeoHen allowed the opportunity to get that 4th base up and running. So overall, a pretty even game so far. Here and now, the Zerg has to be a little ahead, of course, to just be considered even to begin with. And in the meantime, it is going to be High Templars warped on, and I believe he also got some charge gone online there onto the Templar Archives. This has to be 2 Archons being warped in, potentially a Warp Prism to go for the drop in this instance, Mr. Panda.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a proper, like, I don't really want Zealots, but I'm surprised the Archons are used for drop play. I mean, it could have been nice. Just using it for defending.
Yeah, it's
Archons are
pretty,
really powerful units. Like,
they're
it
very
should be
powerful.
balanced.
Dude, it's basically, what was the super old school? Look at that, the Archons just, hey, Balin's
Tanking everything.
tanking everything, gets psionic shockwaves on, good splash damage. And I remember back in the day when I was a kid, it was my composition go-to was always Archon and Carrier. It didn't matter how long I had to wait to build it in the first place, but right now it seems like GeoHen is trying to knock things down. Good positioning though for the Stalker in the way. Sentries as well as Mortals are there as well. And the Archons right now trying to get DPS going. Still though, GeoHen disregarding pretty much everything along the way. Not really the best way to go about that attack. He went in for the poke and he got shoved out the door. The Roaches though do stay alive. Not really the best damage against any kind of armored units with this composition.
Oh wow, that Phoenix actually got 3 kills.
Yeah, Phoenix in a good spot, chasing down those Mutas. So GeoHen did go into that Mutalist composition. Still though, he doesn't really fully commit into it. He does have the Roaches to try and be a congruent unit with the Zergling Bane and push. But beyond that, you can really see that it is going to be that kind of focus into this one. Now we do have a small change of plans. +2 right now onto the range, +2 onto melee as well. We aren't seeing Carapace as of yet. In the meantime, eXoSpecs looking to make things spooky. It's gonna be a Dark Shrine coming online here and now. A good number of production here for eXoSpecs as well. He has a good number of gateways all throughout his bases, pretty protected. Stargate and Rogue Facility, numbering in the ones as well. Make that even into the 2 and the Fleet Beacon. Now, do you feel like eXoSpecs is diversifying his portfolio a little too much, or is this the right course of action, Mr. Panda?
For eXoSpecs, I mean,
Yeah, he's getting...
he
like
should
what?
be reacting to the Mutas, like getting more Phoenixes, but instead he just goes for more Zealots.
Yeah, and the interesting
And just
thing...
3 Stalkers.
Yeah, what really intrigues me is he went for the Fleet Beacon as well as the Dark
True.
Shrine. It seems like those 2 units don't really work as well together. Carrier Tempest with DT don't do too much. I would love to see an eXoSpecs actually take the mantle of the drops, go for Warp Prisms, and potentially get the pokes on. And as he said before, Phoenixes can be a good fight against the Mutas to begin. Bring the action to the skies. So right now, this does give GeoHen an opportunity to basically figure out what he wants to move into. A lot of Spine Crawls being built. In the meantime, Zealot's trying to tap things up. Good surround here, and now defending that hatchery. I'm sure it does force GeoHen to stop mining. eXoSpecs able to get that economic advantage by this point in time, but GeoHen not out of this as of yet. A good force waiting on. Map control is his. Positioning will be key if he finds the opportunity to actually get the poke against eXoSpecs as he transitions to the base of the Zerg. He still can defend well, but this is gonna be basically what do you say? This is just basically GeoHen's test. If he's unable to get any amount of value from this next attack, he will really be behind, and that's not a good starting point. Banelings go down immediately to the Archons. In the meantime, on to the fort base we go. Two-prong attack actually. Gonna be an attack on the wall, gonna be an attack onto this fort. And GeoHen using this time to go for the macro instead. Not the worst way to go about things. He sends in the Zerglings, sends in the Banelings. Just make sure his opponent is not gonna go out anytime soon. In the meantime though, Dark Templar gonna be in the shadows, gets the snipe onto the hatchery. So eXoSpecs deciding to take things up another notch. Invisibility equals invincibility right at this point in time. GeoHen really panicking.
Oh no, it's
what to do.
the veins.
Banelings, so oh! Not the best way to go about it. Was that because of eXoSpecs or was that because of GeoHen? Did he actually detonate those Banes, or was it because of the slice and dice action?
The slice and dice action.
I see.
They were like, "Oh, it's glowing. Might as well hit this one."
Might as well indeed. So right now GeoHen looking to still stay one base ahead, and right, he is building two hatcheries on up. Still though, gonna be behind yet again by this point in time. eXoSpecs, I feel, taking a little too long staying idle. He made an opportunity for himself to actually go on in, defended as well as struck onto the hatchery. He has so many units right now ready to go. Archons are just raring to go for the fight. These things in lore do burn on up pretty quickly. So he is gonna be, you know, he should have that urgency to go for the engagement. In the meantime though, gives GeoHen the opportunity to work on tier 3. Hive Tech is online already, +3 on the range. Adrenal Glands allows those attack speed to get even quicker. And right now, there's gonna be an assault onto that main base. Still though, Tempest are gonna be into the field. We are coming to a late game scenario. In the meantime, eXoSpecs defending this potential pip. Oh no, GeoHen finds the opportunity, and this is what exactly we've been looking for from our Golden Zerg. Gets a good hit onto half of those probes. They go down in one full swoop. And eXoSpecs, oh no, what's happening here? Seems like we are gonna have a little bit of an issue. PandaUser waiting for players. This is the first time we gotten this, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, let's talk about this real quick. Since we have this break in between, no need to cut the VOD by this point in time. GeoHen is looking to go for some air units, Broodlords as well as Corruptors. Make sure he can bring the fights against eXoSpecs to begin with. He did go Tempest, gonna be long range artillery, but this does allow the kite action from the Protoss to be a good factor. Honestly, I would say eXoSpecs should be attacking by some point in time. He has the advantage after that hatchery went down. That means less reinforcements to begin with. And seems like Mr. Panda is back. Are you okay, my friend? Hello, Mr. Panda. So just talk when you can talk to begin with, because we are going to see the Zerglings come on, and Archons are still there as well. In the meantime, GeoHen just letting those Zerglings die, clearing up some supply. But 200 here and now for eXoSpecs, and that's really much the marker there. You want to go for the attack by this point in time. I love eXoSpecs. He is in the magic number of 80 to 120. 80 workers, 120 army, such a good balance. But I feel like a War Prism will really help him in this regard. Anyway, finally the purple Protoss gonna be going on the outside. It's gonna be a regal time. Make way for the Queen, and eXoSpecs looking to just clean things up to begin with. In the meantime, GeoHen trying to catch up, trying to come on back, already having more and more workers to begin with. And this will be a pretty big clash by this point. Still though, GeoHen doesn't have really that critical mass of resources to go for another wave if the main bulk of the force does die. In the meantime, eXoSpecs trying to poke with Dark Templars, those fall easily. And right here, right now, GeoHen given the opportunity to just calm down and go for the upgrades, Adaptive Talons as well as those subterranean spines coming online. Already gets that Hive Tech upgrade, allows the lurkers to burrow on in a little quicker. In the meantime though, here we go with the bulk from eXoSpecs. Finally given the opportunity to go for the attack. Still doesn't have the War Prism in behind, but does have the proper concentration to go for the face down. Tempest fighting against those Corruptors, gonna get some long-range hits. In the meantime, Archon's out in front. It seems like eXoSpecs is gonna decide to play this with some kite action. Backing on out yet again, hiding behind the grass. Gets a good hit onto the Viper that's already so low by this point in time. Still unfortunate, of course, my co-caster is having that kind of trouble. And the Broodlords, honestly, they're still strong, but they aren't as strong as before. Like, especially against Thors. There's so many ways to deal with the Broodlords right now because you usually have the Infestors to cover for the weaknesses, the slowness of the Broodlords to begin with. Now, they don't have the Infestaran, they only have the Carapace, so there's really nothing protecting each other. And here we go with the Tempest, getting the hit yet again. eXoSpecs in a good spot right here, right now. Able to march on, and here we go though with the Zerglings and the Hydras from the other side. And by this point in time, eXoSpecs again winning out the fight. But casually backing on that, he's playing a little too conservative for my taste. But it is going to be all up to the Protoss to set the tempo to begin with. And now the Fleet Beacon has decided to call in the Mothership. Macro here from eXoSpecs, absolutely on point, honestly. Has been so good so far. Zerglings, though, are the ones brought in to face up against the wall. The Stalkers are going to struggle to get DPS going. And eXoSpecs bringing in the bulk of the forces. Macroing on up, microing his macro, basically. Building more and more buildings along the way. Feels like the Cyber Core will fall at some point in time. It wouldn't really hurt to get that second Cyber Core. It allows you to double pump those air upgrades to begin with. In the meantime, though, Carapaces are coming online here for GeoHen, and he is going for that plus 3 more Broodlords coming our way. And on the flip side, the Lurker then being brought back online. Seems like there was a snipe a while ago with the DT, and here comes eXoSpecs marching forward yet again. Meantime, going for the brawl, Archon sees those Zerglings. Tempest getting some solid hits as well. There's a scary force here from eXoSpecs. You have a quality death ball coming her way. This has to be GeoHen, a witness to the raw power of the Protoss fleet. Interesting enough though, eXoSpecs only has the plus 3 on ground weaponry, does not double pump up forge upgrades by this point in time. Doesn't have any armor or shields coming here and now. That can be a point here for GeoHen to actually take advantage, because he has so many upgrades in the bank. Dark Templars though, gonna get the snipe on, sees the Zerglings. And right here, right now, eXoSpecs cleaning up the debris, makes an opening to go for the outermost base of GeoHen. Will this be enough though to get that takedown? That's gonna be the real question, because the Lurkers are set on up. It's gonna be so difficult here now for eXoSpecs. He doesn't have the detection that he needs. Tempests are very important, sure, but there we go, the abduct already. Tempest able to zoom on out, not enough anti-air in this scenario. Second up might be able to make things happen. And look at that Viper looking pretty terrible by this point in time. Fortunately though for Mr. Panda, seems like we are gonna be waiting on the guy to come on back, with Corruptors getting some good hits onto the Tempest. There you go, one will fall, Spore Crawler helping things out as well. In the meantime, here we go with eXoSpecs playing back, playing forward, sees the Broodlords. And that's what I'm talking about. These things are pretty fragile, they're pretty slow, and they're pretty dead, especially against the Tempest. Good bombardment from beyond. eXoSpecs able to back on out yet again. And I feel like eXoSpecs is really giving GeoHen the opportunity to come back into this one, like, more so than just not being proactive to the points, because he has so much money and gas in the bank. He can really throw things, caution into the wind. By this point in time, he's even going for the carrier. I believe he went for Mothership a while ago. Did it actually get produced to begin with? Yes, it's there somewhere on the map, close to the action by this point in time. In the meantime, eXoSpecs sending things over. And unfortunately, you can't drop people if they are still connecting over and over again. So Mr. Panda, you know, you can just leave if you're really having some tech issues. You can just go on Discord to begin with. Still, the cloak is there. eXoSpecs trying to protect as much as possible. But good here for GeoHen. Already having these overseers to begin with. Can bring him into the forefront. Can bring them in a spot to get the detection on. But of course, the Tempest can shut things down. So the real question is, will eXoSpecs be able to see that opportunity to get rid of the detection along the way? In the meantime, drones are spotted as GeoHen is trying to go for another base. And yes, this is looking pretty difficult so far. First time with the composition. And you know, being able to transition into late game is a whole different field. Usually you're more inclined to learn about the early and to the mid, because that's how often StarCraft games go short. It's not of ye days of old, going for the 1 hour mark, going for the 40-minute mark. 30 minutes is really already such a long haul, and you can already question why it's going by that point. And yes, Mr. Panda having some issues here, and now Mothership gonna get abducted. Opportunity here to get that takedown, but the DPS just isn't there. Second and up yet again, going for the yoinks. Good ability micro from GeoHen so far. Getting as many hits as possible. Queen right now down below, going for the takedown there. And no, it's not gonna be enough. eXoSpecs yet again, hiding behind the grass like a predator, waiting for its prey. But GeoHen in the meantime has learned to adapt, has learned to overcome. Lurkers set on up yet again. Broodlords right now getting some good hits. And finally, GeoHen given the opportunity, given the position, and getting proper abduct targets. Vipers getting some value yet again. Tempest right now left alone. One turn around play will be enough. In the meantime, GeoHen sent things over onto the bottom left. And eXoSpecs backing slowly but surely. Into the defensive lines he goes. So many photon cannons, so little time. But Lurkers, of course, getting some good DPS going. Splash damage, as well as extra damage against the armor. You can really feel the punch. You can really feel the packing from these critters. And by this point in time, GeoHen has covered basically half of the map with his territory. More and more hatcheries coming online here and now. In the meantime, he's not really looking the best in terms of that economy 69 workers compared to 77. Protoss pretty ahead in that regard, but he's making up for it, getting bigger and better army by this point in time. Also, one thing to note, eXoSpecs does not have the space saturated whatsoever. It does put GeoHen in the lead in that regard. Not as optimal as it should be. But anyway, here we go with the fight yet again. Finally, maybe a takedown onto that 5th base. On the flip side, Bailings are there looking to try and get the pokes. 40 probes actually transitioned on in. And yes, it's a big issue here for eXoSpecs. He didn't really, expand to a good degree. 3 of his bases honestly working on fumes. 2 of them actually just out of minerals to begin with. And right now, eXoSpecs is desperate to go for the expansion, but he still has so much money in the bank. Does he really need it? He can just go for the fight yet and now. GeoHen in the meantime going for the wall. Here we go with some more warp pins courtesy of eXoSpecs. Overall, this is the Purple Protoss honestly, squandering opportunities. I would have really thought that eXoSpecs could have had this game in the bag a few minutes ago. But GeoHen is still showing that he is relentless. He's not gonna give up. He's gonna look to take any opportunity that he's given. And the Evo Chamber right now might get sucked dry by this point in time. No, the energy is gonna get sopped up. Still though, Lurkers in position. One Archon goes down. Good abduct yet again. Corruptors flying up in the air. It seems like the skylines have been cleared by the Zerg Swarm. Python are trying to get on the way. Psystorm is available, but the life isn't. More and more Nexus points being brought up here and now. High Templars right now going for the attack move of all things. And eXoSpecs able to take the high ground yet again. Now more and more Archons being morphed on in this regard. +3 and the +1 for the ground units here and now for our Protoss. Good Abducto able to yoink that Archon on away. Unfortunately, the Broodlord's not in position. And this is going to be eXoSpecs able to defend steadfast. Now GeoHen still not floating any of those minerals. Still has a lot of gas though in the BAM. Here we go yet again with the yoinks. A big army count here and now for our Zerg player. The only problem here for GeoHen is if he loses all of this, it's going to be a little difficult to reinforce because of his resource count. But beyond that, he has the advantage. The Lurkers are getting closer and closer, and honestly, these units are pretty gas intensive over the minerals. But will have the opportunity to rebuild the composition that he has gone into. And by this point in time, Zerglings on the left flank looking to find the opportunity to get the pokes on in. 36 workers in such big danger. eXoSpecs backing on out slowly but surely, patrolling around the ramp. And we'll get caught by the Broodlings right here, right now. Here we go with the hits yet again. Lurkers right now trying to get the burrow as well. And it's going to be eXoSpecs deciding to take the fight to them. Not the best way to go about it though. Still beautiful Psystorms getting some number of electrocutions, but beyond that, it's just not gonna hold. 29 army to 104, and GeoHen able to come back, not really panicking, not really raging on, not doing anything hasty, has been able to play the macro game pretty well. But at the same time, I feel like eXoSpecs could have had this game in the bag. So many points in time, got the economic advantage, got the snipe onto the hatchery. But it is what it is, and GeoHen is reaping the rewards of his patience. A lot of Corruptors though, not really doing too much by this point in time, and morph those things in. to some Broodlords to begin with. In the meantime, eXoSpecs is looking to have some fun with this. Trying to play the last stand scenario, Blinkstalker, as well as the Immortal, looking back on outs. But GeoHen can also ignore that bulk of the army, can go to the main base itself. Phoenix right now brought on in, good micro on to get the blink on back. Sterling's in the meantime onto the north quadrant. Still not enough, and now the Corruptor is coming closer and closer with the Lurkers. Trying to distract those Stalkers from the real targets. In the meantime, still more Stalkers being warped on in, and eXoSpecs really showing Amon that these Protoss are not one to lie on down. And the Lurkers creeping closer and closer. We don't really see any Observer Tech here and now from our boy eXoSpecs. He's still trying to go for the production, giving up the ground here and now. Stalkers right now will take the damage there. The Lurkers are in range. One Stalker falls already. Still though, eXoSpecs, no more income by this point in time. Minerals and gas are all he has left. That is gonna be one, maybe even two cycles, but no, the Lurkers! This is destroying everything in its path. Blue blood being spilled from the Protoss. And this has to be GG. GeoHen able to turn things around. Was it a give there from eXoSpecs, or was that just resolute patience from our Golden Zerg? That's gonna be the real question. It's a massacre here and now, and the Stalkers are there. Good to have you back, Mr. Panda. Hope your internet is doing good. And now it's time for the connection Nexus Point in a bad spot, and GeoHen able to basically take this one. So what are really the points of the play? What are the points of the match for you, Mr. Panda? What did GeoHen do right?
He defended properly. eXoSpecs lacked some key units like the Templar Storm. The Archons were there for defending, but the Storms weren't, it wasn't there. It wasn't properly placed. Templars could have been used against the Vipers. Mothership got yoinked a bit too much. And Zealots weren't really needed anymore, but it could have been used for harass. I mean, but you have Dark Templars already. For the Zerg player, yeah, it was defense all around. Like, even if they lost like 2 or 3 bases, at least it kept going back to the Zerg, like defending properly. The Hydralisk and the Lurkers were there. Even if they didn't have the Carapace upgrade, it was spot on.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty well done by GeoHen by the tail end. Still though, eXoSpecs could have couldn't play the aggression. But I digress. If this was really especially practice for Mr. GeoHen, he was able to keep calm. But big thing is the Broodlords cannot be left alone like that. You need to have something in the front line. You need something to protect. And the old composition isn't gonna work anymore because the infestors used to have what? Infested Terra to spit out disposable units. We need something to protect those slow units, and it's food for thought for later matches. But yeah, it was a decent macro game all around. We got to see the map covered by a lot of creep, and we got to see PandaUser disconnect so many times, cutting the
I'm sorry.
broadcast. But it's all good in the head, and we'll see you guys in the next one.